Sorry, I was censored by the internet police.
Oh,
The
okay.
karma police, if you will.
Yep.
Speaking of karma police, there's this segue. Have you heard the new Radiohead album?
Yes, and I think it's very good. Um,
Cool.
I don't think it's a masterpiece like everyone seems to be saying. It's definitely one of their better albums, and I definitely like it more than King of Limbs personally. That being said, I've never been a huge fan of the Johnny Greenwood string orchestral fusion with their music. Not that I'm like, I don't know. It's hard to describe. It's just it's a good album. It's very emotionally heavy, especially.
Yeah.
But I like Radiohead more when they're having fun, like when they're using playful sounds and having a good time, like on In Rainbows, for instance. Even their more serious albums in the past, like Amnesiac and Kid A, they still had a lot of fun with the sounds that they chose.
Sure.
Um, so this latest album feels less experimental to me, but it's also I think one of their more genuine albums. It feels more personal compared to something like Amnesiac and Kid A. So
Yeah.
it's cool to see True Love Waits actually on the album.
Yeah, it's actually really weird to see that song after that many years.
Yeah,
I didn't expect it at all.
yeah,
I liked some songs more than others, but I do like the whole album overall, and
hmm
I can safely say I think it's great. I love it, but it also is not an album I could listen to, at all times. That's
right.
going to be a very specific mood album.
Right.
Um,
Whereas something like
yeah,
The Bends or In Rainbows or even OK Computer, you could put those on almost
pretty
any
much
time.
whenever.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, this one's a mood album, and it is like you said, emotionally heavy, and I like that. I actually will disagree, and I say I love Johnny's strings,
They're
but
good. They're very, like, he's really talented. He's a very good orchestral arranger and writer. It's just
yeah.
not my favorite. It's not the reason I listen to Radiohead, I guess.
Oh no, 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 no. It's for me it's a bonus. It's just
Yeah.
something that he's good at. But I don't think we're ever gonna get OK Computer Ben's Radiohead again. So I mean
Well,
I'm
In
I'm willing
Rainbows
to
was
take it.
close, I think, personally. I mean, it was In
In
Rainbows
Rainbows
was it's kind
was
of it
great.
was its own thing. Like it was different than OK Computer and the Bends, but it was just as accessible to me. Like to me, In Rainbows, it was them having fun for the first time in about four albums. That's what
Yeah.
In Rainbows feels like to me. And it kind of was. They didn't have a label anymore, for once. They just kind of like independently released it and shocked the internet with their whole pay what you want thing and everything.
Yeah.
It
But
feels like
the
a
music
liberated
lived up
album.
to it.
Yeah,
No,
but
I totally. So I mean, yeah, that's kind of the thing. There's so many different types of styles that they dip into,
yeah,
and it's kind of for me. I like the more. I also like In Rainbows and the Bends and OK Computer. Those are my top three. But Moonshaped Pool is definitely a welcome album from them, and I'm happy that we got a new one. And I
better than
think
King of Limbs. Yes.
oh yeah, I think it's better than Kingdom. I think this album is up there with some of their best work when
hmm
you take the best songs. But again, it's very specific. You
Yeah.
got to be really in the mood for that kind of stuff. But I think songs like Dex Dark and Identikit and
hmm
Daydreaming or Daydreamers, some of those songs are just and also Full Stop. That
Yeah.
might be some of the best shit they've ever done.
I think
So
Adenikit's probably my favorite on the album. Um,
I like the live version better, but
yeah,
I like the arrangement of the album version. It's really cool.
yeah, yeah.
Do you like Full Stop as well?
I do.
That song is
I
so
don't
cool.
think there's a single song on the album I don't like except for the one with the really long title.
Oh, Tinker Tailor Soldier Eater of,
The
of many
Butcher.
cheeses.
Yeah. It's good, but I don't know. That one didn't stand out to me like the others did. It just feels I don't know, there's something about it. It just feels a little out of place to me. I
Kind
can't.
of almost sounds like a song they tried to put on that Spectre movie,
Yeah.
and then they were like, you know what? Let's just go with Spectre, and then they got denied. It's like, oh great, we have two James Bond songs now. What do we do?
They should have just put Spectre in that song's place, and I think it'd be slightly better album for it.
Sure.
because I thought
Yeah, maybe.
Spectre was pretty cool. Um,
I like most of this album better than Spectre, to be
yeah.
honest. But I still thought Spectre was great. Yeah.
Did you watch the music videos? Are you I forget. Are you a music video
I
person?
I am to some extent. A lot of times I'll ignore it. Like Unknown Mortal Orchestra, I've been listening to recently, and I find their songs on YouTube, and I've seen like 30 seconds combined total of all their music videos. I just don't care. That
Gotcha.
said, I paid very close attention to the Radiohead videos because they were so interesting, and Daydreamers was shot so nicely. I had
Yeah.
to watch it.
Yeah.
Grab
I
my
think
attention.
I like every Radiohead video just about that I can think of. Here's
They're
an
great.
here's an underrated one. Um,
Morty.
Morty. How about the video for "Go to Sleep"? Have you seen that video?
Yeah, isn't that what there's like a 3D thing happening
Uh
there,
huh.
and there's
Kind
like
of a low
landscape,
poly
like
guy, and
towns,
the city starts falling apart and stuff.
the crumbling city. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That was a good one.
that's a good
Sure.
video. But
They have great videos.
yeah, that's definitely a band with good videos because there are plenty of
Yeah.
bands that like I love their music, but their videos are just shite across the board,
Right.
across the bed. Like
Yeah, they shit the bed.
Saint Vincent, I love her music. Every single one of her videos is terrible. Every single one. I have not
It's a shame.
enjoyed a single one of her. They've gotten better. Like her latest videos have been better than her early videos, but they're still just like no. Whereas a band like Radiohead always has good videos. A band like Battles, I don't know if you probably don't listen to Battles at all, but have I ever told you about their videos before?
No, no.
They're very aesthetically appropriate for the music. Like they try to create videos that atmospherically match the timbres of the music. But there's this one killer ass video for a song called My Machines featuring Gary Newman on vocals, which is kind of cool. But the video is just 4.5 minutes of a guy falling down an up escalator the entire time,
Good.
like just falling, and the escalator is pulling him further up, and he's still falling. Occasionally, he gets his bearings kind of for a second, and then just beefs it and continues falling just when you think he's gonna make it. And it does that for 4.5 minutes, and then at the end, he gets up all disheveled and walks off. It's a great video. It's so
That
entertaining.
sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty good indeed. What's the name of the song?
The song is called My Machines. The name of the band
Okay.
is Battles, and if anything, you have to just watch the video. It's
I'm
really
just
well
gonna
done.
watch it like while we're talking. I'm gonna take a look at it. Oh, I've seen this. I have seen this. This is I haven't seen the whole thing, but yeah, I have. And that singer is very familiar too. I've seen him in somewhere on the internet, but
Yeah,
might just be from this clip. Cool video, recommended. Good pepper, good ravioli. The guy falls down the escalator and then goes back up, and then he falls down again.
and there's
I'm
like
okay with this.
there's some cool moments too, like where like the music really crescendos about the 2/3 in mark. That he's getting to the top, like he's actually kind of getting his balance, and then he just fucking beefs it and falls all the way down, just as like these huge crashes are happening in the music and the screen shakes. That it's just very
Yeah,
dramatic, and there's
I
like a
just saw
blood
that.
stain in one part too. Like where the camera pans next to the glass part of the escalator, and he tries to get his bearings, and his hand just like smears some blood right where the camera is looking. Just like
That's
little
cool.
details like that that are just like great.
Yeah, and that's something like I've always wanted to do, like a cool music video. But I just this is like you got to have a really cool concept, and this is awesome. This is a really great idea for a music video. Holy fuck.
Now,
Anyway,
now,
yeah,
what do you think is Radiohead's worst video,
um,
and why is it No Surprises?
I can't say it is a bad video in the sense that you're just looking at Tom York's face, but
It's not that bad. I just giving it
it's
shit.
it's so incredibly like I want to use the word memorable because it
It
just like
is, yeah.
it instilled this image in my head that still hasn't gone away after 20 years almost. Like I still remember that video vividly,
Uh
and
huh.
I've only seen it like 5 or 6 times in my life, but somehow I remember that better than almost every other video aside from Paranoid Android. And here's the thing: I was actually just showing Mike Radiohead videos for the first time because he's not really into them.
Uh huh.
So we spent about 45 minutes just watching Radiohead videos,
Mm-hmm.
and he liked Paranoid Android a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, that
Um,
one's good.
yeah. They actually during the shot where the water actually fills up the helmet, and he's sitting there like forever. They apparently filmed that at half speed so that he didn't need to be under the water as long because they were worried about his safety. I mean, he was under for I think a minute, or like in the song he was under for a minute, or in the video. In real life, he was only under 30 seconds, and even still, you could see him getting uncomfortable towards the end. Um,
That's
so
pretty good.
I just thought that was interesting. Now, what is their best video, and why is it Lotus Flower?
Yeah, Tom dancing around like a mad bugger. I'm not sure about that one.
I love that video. I'm sorry, I think it's great.
I like oh God, what song is it? They're there.
Oh
I don't remember the
yeah,
video. But it was like it had that cool animation shit and like
yes.
Tom walking through the forests. It was just creepy and weird, and I really liked that one.
I always confuse the video of They're There with the video of Televators by the Mars Volta.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I don't know why in my head I get those two mixed up a lot. Maybe because like the forest scenes and have you seen the Televators video?
No, I haven't.
It's not that good. Like I don't think it matches the song very well, but it's also kind of in the forest and like really really strange. So
Okay. Yeah, I
yeah.
can't find it online actually. And I will say this: the Karma Police video is still, as simple as that video is,
Hmm.
it's still very very memorable. So
Yes, I agree.
yeah. So
Um,
we should start the
I was
podcast.
gonna say, do you want to include all that in the
It
podcast?
could be a bonus. We
Yeah,
could throw it in someplace at the end, maybe.
yeah. Or we could even just put that at the beginning because it worked so well. It was so natural. It's like we didn't even bother to greet all the people listening to the podcast.
Oh, you're right.
So hey,
Hey everyone, welcome to
hey,
Two on the
hey.
Vine.
It's been a while, Vinny. It's been a really long while. So I think we owe everyone an apology, don't we?
No,
No, you're right.
there's so much great content on the internet.
Yeah, surely they
Like
kept themselves
watch,
busy, you know.
you
Um,
could watch Red Letter Media. You could watch A Fox in Space. You could watch um, other videos. There's other videos online that are good too. I promise.
yeah,
But there's also a lot of good podcasts out there. That said, it's been a while, and I definitely did miss doing the podcast. It's just the time to do it hasn't been kind to, I guess, either of us.
yeah. No, yeah, it's been pretty rough, but we're back. So, you just did PAX. Did you want to talk about PAX, or is there anything else that you wanted to talk about to start?
Sure, let's start with PAX. I can go through it very quickly.
Sure.
A lot of BO.
What was the spike? Were there any spikes on the bow meter this time around?
Well, there was a spike on the bow meter. For anyone that doesn't know, the bow meter is a KY invention. Well, me and KY invented it, and the idea of this thing is you walk through a convention, and depending on how much body odor is in that particular area, the bow meter spikes to like from 1 to 10.
Yep. I'm
Some
just glad
spikes
it's
reached 8.
it goes quick. That's what I'm grateful for. Is that generally if there's a spike, you have just enough time to process it and say, "Wow, that was a solid, a strong 9, light 10 on the bow meter," and then it's gone. Kind
And
of.
you're out.
Well, it's
You're
never
out.
totally gone with packs, but it
Not
goes
really.
down to tolerable human levels, non-lethal levels of bow.
The non-lethal levels of bow were very
Yeah.
very chill this year. They weren't too bad. There was only a few spikes up to like an 8, but a few moments that were pretty nasty. But generally, this year was a very clean PAX. And I'll say this too: their Twitch was giving away body wash and deodorant, little like Old
Smart.
Spice.
Smart.
Yeah, like so, and they were right up front. So you would go through the Twitch area, and it would be this giant table filled with like body odor products, and so I'm wondering if people actually use them, because I did. I was like, oh shit, I'm taking 2 of these.
Yeah, man.
Definitely. So that was cool. The weather was nice this year. This is the first time I ever drove to Boston. and it was great. It was a nice drive. It was easy
I told you,
because the
man.
weather was nice. Well, also too, I beat the traffic, which was
Yeah,
important.
but dude, that's like a straight shot. New York City to Boston. It's like once you get 95, it's like that for about 200 miles, and then you're there. So
95 is really it's just a great way to listen to some podcasts and some music and just kind of focus on the nice scenery and the weather and stuff. Just Connecticut is just sucks to drive through though because
yeah,
it's so boring.
yeah.
You know,
There's literally nothing in Connecticut. I think it's has no population.
there's no one there. There's just trees. There's
Yep.
no settlements.
There's the Pez
It's like,
Museum. I remember that. I remember passing the sign for the Pez Museum all the time. So
yo,
yeah, you
it's
could go
crazy.
get your Elvis Pez machine thing.
Hey, the Beatles. I want
Yeah,
the Beatles Pez.
get Ringo. He's my
It is
fave.
with peace and love that I ask you
Peace
to
and
stop
love.
making me into toys.
uh,
So, the drive was good, but the weather was great. The convention was great. It was it was really cool because there were so many. This year had some cool games. A lot of Overwatch. People were playing that. Enter the Gungeon was on the big screen at one point.
hmm
The Devolver Digital had some great games, and that's where Gungeon was.
They always have
Um,
great games. I like
so
them as a publisher.
they're amazing.
Yeah.
And Soda Drinker Pro was there, of course,
They're gonna
um,
be at every convention like forever. Like
for
I'm
the same game.
yeah. Yep.
Um, yeah, I mean it was pretty cool. The whole thing just felt like a good PAX. The vibe was good, the weather was good, people were happy. I personally had a good time hanging out with GPM and Fred and Dyer and Marissa Konome and all the streamers and every viewer I met this year was really cool. Sometimes, at a convention, here's a little secret for the listeners. Sometimes people can get a little spaghetti.
hmm
I wouldn't have thought. Then again, I've been spaghetti with people that I like too. Um, so it's easy to understand how the spaghetti could happen. But this year, there was absolutely zero spaghetti.
Whoa.
It was great. Everyone that I met was awesome. And I told KY that the only downside of this year's PAX was that KY was not there with us to hang out and
Aw.
enjoy it.
Aw.
I meant that too. We all did. We all felt the same way. We were like, fucking KY should be here. This is a good time to hang out with him. We've enjoyed it every year. So
Well, maybe we'll be at the next one because considering PAX South was kind of a dud. Just not a lot of games, not a lot of people. It was just me and Rev, and not that there's anything wrong with Rev. It was very low. I want to say low key. It was just like nothing happened. I don't know. San Antonio is nice. We went on Carrie and I went on the river walk. Lots of mariachi, which was neat. We got some quote unquote authentic Mexican food, which was nice. But as for PAX itself, like there were like no games or not a lot of games at least. We met a couple of cool viewers, maybe like three or so viewers, and they were all really nice. One or two spaghettis, but still really nice. But they're
it's
just
like a
very
66% ratio of spaghetti.
I guess so. But it was just very, just a very unremarkable thing. I think Rev agreed. He was like, yeah, it was kind of like, eh. So I think next year we're just going to skip on PAX South and just take the plunge and go up to East if it's, if plane tickets are cheap and such. So,
Sure. Yeah.
um,
It depends on the time of year and how, how you're feeling about it. Because it is a trip for you now, especially. So,
yeah. But there are
yeah.
people in Boston that I still want to see and visit and family up there and stuff. So it's no biggie. What else happened in the last 2 months since our last episode?
I mean, I put out that album that I was going on about over and over again.
And
It came out really good.
you can get it at any Redbox location, right?
You go to the red box on the side of the road and you put your shekels in. And then what comes out is a CD signed by me.
Now that's kind of inappropriate, Vinny. Shekels, really? They're called neo shekels these days.
Are they?
Yeah, neo shekels. You can't be so
I gotta adapt.
un PC. It's not cool. It kind of,
Okay.
triggered me a little bit. But
Sorry. Well, I'll use the Rick and Morty term then, schmeckles.
schmeckle, yeah. Yeah, I know that there was one other big thing that happened in the last couple of months, and I can't think of what it was. Did we talk about the T-shirts last time? Did we thank
I think
everyone?
we thanked people, maybe.
Let's thank them
I'll
again.
thank him again.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks to everyone who got a T-shirt and ensured that this podcast will continue going for a little while. Um, yeah, maybe we should record a little bit more often to not, um, I guess, insult those people who
Sure,
just
yeah,
put their money into it.
it
But
makes sense. I mean, I think most people that watch my streams know, like, I haven't had like a minute to myself lately. It's been good. Being in all seriousness, being busy is good for me because if I stay busy and if I try to stay as productive as possible, then I feel better.
yeah,
So I've been doing that, and the winter was a rough winter. It's still like cold in New York. It sucks. So I haven't really had much of a chance. So in a lot of ways, the fact that we haven't done a podcast is a lot to do with me. And also the past few weekends, like I was at Newgrounds last weekend. The weekend before that, I was at a museum in Astoria for some like Indiecade East, it's called, with Criken, and
Oh
then the
yeah.
week before that was PAX, and then during the week I'm usually streaming or making music again. So
Uh huh.
it's kind of one of those things that I would like to do more. I enjoy it, and I want you to all to know that if you're listening, that I will make an attempt to get more of these done with KY because these are really good. So, yeah, apologies to you, KY, as well, because I could have definitely probably maybe rubbed a few of these out with you.
Yeah, just a quick one, quickie.
Just a quick few rubs out.
Yep.
Rub.
Rubbies, rubs, rebelloonies.
Yeah.
Would you like to take some viewers' mail or
I
listeners'
think
mail?
I think that would be great. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Roman writes in, "Hey KY and Vin, just binge listen to your podcasts. I think you guys are really improving in this medium. Keep it up and be sure to mix up the structure. Blah 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 blah." Anyway, on to the question. What was the last meme that you actually enjoyed and used frequently?
Um, like widely known meme.
The last meme that you actually enjoyed and used frequently. I mean, we're still using spaghetti. It's just like the ones that are timeless, like dropping the spaghetti out or spilling the spaghetti out of your pockets.
Forget.
We don't even think about them, you know? Like they're not even memes to us anymore because they've made their way into our everyday vernacular.
That's right. That's 100% correct.
Yeah.
Some of these memes are so ingrained in who we are that it's hard to get rid of them. I still use the memes from time to time. I went to rehab for a bit.
Meme
I was
head.
unable. I was unable to remove myself and remove the memes from myself. But I think I use them a little bit less, and the like more popular ones, I don't really use them. However, I noticed that Dat Boy is being used a lot these days, and it's just a fucking frog on a unicycle.
Dat boy. I've never even heard of this meme. I
Okay,
gotta look it up now.
here come Dat Boy. I didn't use the meme, but I did mention it on stream because Nintendo retweeted this meme, and then Sonic the Hedgehog Twitter also like tweeted about the meme,
It's just
and it's just a frog on a unicycle.
I've never seen this. Here come Dat boy.
Here you go.
Oh shit!
I'm gonna
What
link
up?
you to this. I want you take a look at Nintendo's tweet. I want your reaction live. There it is.
Oh god. When corporations tweet memey things, fave for
Hello, fellow
Slippy,
kids.
retweet for Dat boy. Hashtag Happy Friday. It's just a
I
fucking
like the
frog on a
it's just a
unicycle.
frog. Yeah.
So to answer your question, what was the last meme I actually enjoyed? Was Dat Boy, because I enjoyed that. When you pointed out to me, I was like, yeah, I could get behind that stupid ass frog on a unicycle. Pretty good.
And one more meme that I maybe created that I enjoyed until I killed it. I used it for about 3 days. A little bit more than that, actually. But it was the Mr. Dink thing. I started like a Mr. Dink meme.
Douglas.
Hello, Douglas.
Hello,
You want
Douglas.
to come aboard my yacht, Douglas? You can bring Skeeter and your dog Pork Chop.
Honk honk.
I just want to hang out with my buddy Douglas.
That's not really
It
a
got a
meme
little.
though, is it?
It became a slight one in my chat because everyone was typing Douglas, but
Douglas.
it got a little sexual, and I had to put it. I had to stop it
Ugh.
because it was like, oh,
Isn't Doug
tell
like
me about your
11 or
date with
something? No, no,
exactly.
he's in
It's
high
just too
school.
weird.
It's still
And
weird
he's
though.
like, he grows up in the course of the show. I think a little bit.
There was actually, I remember they did a reboot of Doug, where like it was like 5 years later or something, or they're like almost adults, and Skeeter's like fucking rich because you know the bully who deserves nothing should be rich.
Oh,
Yeah,
you mean Roger? Roger.
Roger. What did I call him?
You call him Skeeter.
Skeeter? No, Skeeter being rich. That's good.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but no, no. Roger got rich, and it was a shit show. It was pretty bad. Because he just
They
like
should
cruises
stop.
around in his limo and continues to just harass people. Uh, so I hope that answers your question, Roman.
Yeah, does that answer your question? Sorry about that. We went on a little bit of a Doug tangent.
So
But
that
anyway,
that boy is my answer.
correct.
Final
Good
answer. All right, this one Archduke Grand writes in. Hey, I wanted to ask Vinny a question. How did you learn to play guitar?
How'd you learn how to play guitar, KY? That's my question.
I
Tell me about your experience.
Well, the way I learned to play guitar, there were two. It was kind of twofold. I began taking lessons. Lessons do help. They're kind of like
How old were you?
perceived, 9, 10, something like that.
Okay.
And lessons are kind of perceived with a weird stigma, like, oh, I could do that myself. You don't need that shit. But I'll be honest, they really help because you could do it without lessons, as I'm sure. I don't think you did it without lessons, but they do help a lot.
I did without lessons.
But it was twofold. It was half lessons, and then the other half just looking up tabs online to my favorite songs and trying my damnedest to play them. Of which, you know, it would start with me being able to do like the main chord progression from like Brain Stew by Green Day or something,
Green
just
Day.
as an example. The easiest thing in the world, and I think made it drop D to make it even easier.
Right.
It's like 4 chords.
Yeah.
But that slowly, as I tried to like just learn harder things and push myself, eventually before you knew it, I was playing, you know, Blackbird, which is, you know, from a finger picking standpoint, relatively sophisticated. Not too much, but you know, enough that I could feel impressed by my, you know, by getting better.
Sure.
So
That's
lessons.
the next level up in some ways.
Yeah, so lessons that taught me notes and techniques that I would have never found on my own, and then combined with me just trying my best to learn my favorite songs from looking up tabs on the internet. And I recommend that twofold approach to pretty much anyone. How about
Yeah,
you?
I like KY's answer because there's room for, you know, you could basically take it in whatever direction you want. And I think that's what's important. Like lessons are really good because they can get you started and they can really give you the correct way to hold the instrument, the correct way to fret. You can learn chords from an instructor. It's you know, learning theory somewhat and then learning like where the notes are on the fretboard. This is all stuff I had to learn on my own, and I learned some of it a little fucked up, and then years later I had to kind of readjust. I was 18. I had picked up a guitar. I bought a cheap one from the local music store, and I started sucking at it. My fingers hurt, but I was determined because music was becoming a bigger part of my life. And I taught myself through chords like KY did, and I had very little experience, but I watched some you know some instruction videos and stuff like that. Anyway,
And lots of
yeah, I
drugs.
started lots of weed,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
and Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
I learned like some Nirvana stuff and then some Beatles stuff, and then I felt like the progress was really like coming along nicely when I learned Black Dog by Zeppelin and
All right.
10 Years Gone.
All right.
10 Years Gone is really hard. That was like my graduation to the next level.
Black Dog
I
is really good for like riffing. Like that's a good riff. Like that's a good tutorial on how to play a riff-based song. You know, like that
Right.
one and like anything by CKY because they're very big into like riff songs where everything's based around riffs. Um,
and riffs will get your fingers in shape quickly. They
oh
can
yeah,
help.
But
So
riffs are like the stepping stone to leads and solos to me.
right.
They're just a bit more, rhythmic and repetitive, whereas, solo is more freeform. But
Yeah, and that requires. I mean, it's as much your mind as it is your fingers when it
yeah.
comes to like solos.
But yeah, Black
Um,
Dog is a fun song to play. It's
and
good.
I guess lastly, I'll say, it's good to have an instructor. Definitely get one. But I did have a friend that took lessons for like 3 years, and he never ended up getting like his own style. He kind of stayed stagnant, and
Well,
he
did
didn't
he
learn.
practice?
He claimed to practice all the time. I was in a band with him briefly, years back, and he basically played the guitar like a bass. And
Okay.
he knew some basic chords, but he was not a very. And I was like, "How many years did you take lessons for?" That probably doesn't have a whole lot to do with the instructor, but I think he used the instructor in a way as a crutch.
Oh God, Vinny.
Um, my thing for you is if you learn how to play guitar, learn from someone who can get you started, and then I'd say start working on your own stuff and figure out where you want to take your instrument. What direction do you want to take it in?
Yeah,
So
just
a little of both.
yeah, do all the things. Do the lessons if you can afford them because they're expensive. If not, just do the things. You'll figure it out. The biggest,
KY has it right.
the hardest thing, and the most important thing is just taking the first step. Just getting a
First step.
guitar and actually doing a thing because a lot of people won't even get that far. And if you can do that, you've still taken it further than 9 out of 10 people who dreamed of playing guitar.
Yeah, and it will hurt. Remember that. But calluses will happen, and when they do, you'll want to keep playing because guitar is a lot of fun.
Tyler writes in, "Good evening, Vinny and KY. Hope you guys are doing well. I have a few music related questions for you guys. This is gonna be a very musical episode of Two on the Vine.
Boy,
You guys both have musical backgrounds. I was wondering about your opinion on video game soundtracks. Do you have a favorite soundtrack? What makes it enjoyable? What are some of the weirder soundtracks and what made them so strange? Um, he's also thanking you for streaming Off because one of that game apparently inspired him greatly. If you were to each compose a video game soundtrack that you made, what would the instrumentation atmosphere sound like, and so on.
I can easily say that Secret of Mana is one of my favorites, but it's also very eclectic,
Mm-hmm.
and the some of the arrangements and some of the instrumentation's like a little bizarre.
Yeah,
But that one and Chrono Cross and Chrono Trigger are my two favorites.
excellent choices.
Yeah.
My favorite soundtracks include Earthbound, for a lot of the reasons that you wrote about in your email. That it has a very weird, interesting instrumentations, but it's also very pop inspired. Like especially the Beatles, you'll hear a lot of Beatles influence in the soundtrack because everyone knows that the developer of the Mother series is a huge Beatles fan, and he tries to sneak that stuff in when he can. So you hear some of that in the soundtrack, but it's also very inventive and very musically intelligent in a lot of ways too. So Earthbound is way up there for me. It's also one of the weirder ones. As far as weird soundtracks, Lisa, the Painful RPG on Steam, it's called Lisa, the Painful RPG. That's got a weird ass soundtrack, and it is great. It's full of humor, which is something you don't hear a lot in soundtracks. Like it's the kind of thing that you laugh when you're listening to it because the soundtracks have some really funny shit going on in a good way. But it's also very serious, and the guy clearly put a lot of effort into the soundtrack. It's not just like fart noises and shit.
Right, right.
But so Lisa is definitely one of the weirder ones I've heard. I know I'm missing some obvious favorites. Final Fantasy 6, 7, 8, 9. Pretty much all. That's all one soundtrack to me, and they're all great. Um,
I like the Star Fox 64 soundtrack too.
yeah.
Just on a weird, unrelated note.
From a chiptune standpoint, I think Disaster Piece is one of the best composers you can find. He did the soundtrack to Fez. He did the soundtrack to Mini Metro. He's got some solo stuff. He did the soundtrack to Hyper Light Drifter. He is a fantastic composer. So, as for what our soundtracks would sound like, what would your video game soundtrack sound like? What would the instrumentation and atmosphere sound like?
It depends on the game, but I already kind of have like 10 songs on my Bandcamp. Sorry to plug it, but it's true. I did kind of make a fake video game soundtrack over the years,
Hmm.
and it's just 10 eclectic songs. Some of them are heavier than others, and some of them are more sparse.
Yeah.
And it's just, it depends on the song. It depends on what kind of game. But I think if it was up to me, it would sound like a Chrono Trigger type soundtrack. I like
Hmm.
that.
I also have written a number of them. You can find them at soundcloud.com/livebyfoma, LIVEBYFOMA. That's my plug. You'll find a number of them there. It's very incomplete compared to a lot of the stuff I've done. It's all very kind of PlayStation 1 and prior, like MIDI and FM synth type stuff. There's some chiptune as well. In fact, the opening tune for Two on the Vine, I wrote that. That was actually one of the first
Yeah.
things I ever wrote in chiptune. And that's just a small snip of it. The full thing is closer to 2 minutes, which I just trimmed it down to the 20-second jingle, whatever it is. So I wrote that. So there, right
There
there,
you
you
go.
have a point of comparison for the kind of music I write, at least video game
Cool.
wise. Next question. This one is from Smeg. This is more so a question for Vinny about music. Just kidding.
Dear God.
From what I've heard of you two, you're both pretty proficient at music and seem well versed in explaining music. Have you schmucks ever thought of making a video series where you talk about and teach music? Maybe a music podcast? Well, this episode
You're
is
listening to it.
this is the preview of the new direction we're heading. We're done with video games. We're talking music.
Yeah, it's kind of because for me, the past year and a few months of my life have been very musically oriented. It's been a rediscovered passion in a lot of ways, and most people are pretty cool with it, but of course, some people are not musically interested. They just don't want to hear about it. So, I mean, this is probably one of those things that if we did it, it would have to be separate. That said, I mean, today is just by circumstance a very musically oriented episode.
Hmm.
But
Which
it would
honestly, I'm
probably
cool
be
with
like
it.
this.
I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I'm okay with it too. I love this kind of shit. But also, I think for me, I wouldn't do the tutorial stuff because I'm just too lazy for that. But it would be, if I did, it would be me like showing how to play some songs and, my effects pedals and how I get certain sounds, how I maybe mix when I mix in Fruity Loops, which is, I'm not that good at it, but stuff like that I could probably show off. The guitar pedals being, I probably think, the most interesting aspect of what I would do.
Soapy McButtsack writes in, do you ever regret streaming a game because you could have had more fun if you just played it off stream? If so, how often does that happen? I don't just mean a bad game, I mean the game's enjoyment being ruined by streaming it. Thanks, Soapy McButtsack. Thank you, Soapy. That's a great question. Soupy. Sorry, I'm saying that wrong. It's Soupy McButtsack. Because Soapy McButtsack would be too clean.
Yeah, it's
So,
too clean.
so it's Soupy. I don't know. What do you think? Do you have any games that you wish you had kept off stream because you think you would have enjoyed it more off stream?
Yeah, there's a few that I played off stream as well as on stream, but there's been times where I liked a game so much that I just couldn't wait to play it, and
Yeah.
I would, actually want to stream more, and if I couldn't, I would just play a little bit offline.
Hmm.
I can't think of any specific examples. Let's just say Subnautica, I played a little bit offline, had a lot of fun with that offline.
Hmm.
Enter the Gungeon, I play both online and offline.
Yes.
But games that are like story oriented, I can't really give you an example, honestly. Maybe, you know what? I have a current example. I'm streaming the new Doom,
Okay.
and I like to find the secrets. I'm like a secret hunter, but I suck at it.
So the
It
chat
takes
is just
me-
like a shit
like-
show.
They're like, Vinny, where are you going? I was getting lost and for like 15 minutes just looking for secrets.
Yeah.
But now if I was offline, if I wasn't streaming it, I could just find the secrets on my own.
Yeah.
But since I'm streaming it, I have to also consider the audience and not just waste their time while looking for one
Right.
pointless bobblehead in a giant level. That's
Yeah.
my answer.
I don't have this issue too often because this is actually something I assess before I stream a game. There are some games that I can just immediately tell that that I wouldn't enjoy it as much if I did it on stream, like Dark Souls, for example. just
Okay.
because that can get super backseat gamey, and yeah, and there's other stuff like pretty much all the stuff I'm playing off stream right now. I'm playing them off stream because they wouldn't make good streams. Like they either wouldn't be fun to watch, people would have no clue what the fuck's going on, or they're just slow paced or too cerebral. Not to be insulting, but just like from a standpoint where if you don't already know what's going on in the game, you're just lost.
Hmm.
Like for example, I'm streaming or not streaming. I'm playing a game right now called Steven's Sausage Roll. I'm not even kidding. That's the name of the game. It's a game
It's
about
like Green
rolling
Light Castle.
sausage. No, it's real and it's great. It's probably, and I'm not even exaggerating, one of the best puzzle games I've ever played. Now, that being said, if I were to stream this, I know it would go poorly, 100%, because A, it's a game about rolling sausages, which sounds funny, but it's not really funny. It would just
Right.
be dull to most people, unless you
Okay.
really like puzzle games. B, it's expensive, and because it's expensive, it's gonna create the inevitable drama bomb about, oh, why is this game $30 or whatever it is, when it's not priced for the average person. It's not interested in getting the average person to play it. It's interested in catering to a very specific audience, and I happen to be part of that audience. So to me, it's worth every penny because it's great.
Hmm.
But I don't want to deal with that drama in chat because
Yeah.
why should I? It
It,
would make for a
yeah. I
boring
mean,
stream. I
yeah.
don't know. But at the
No.
same time,
Yeah. It's something that you're 100% right. By the way, don't that's something I would not feel bad about not wanting to stream a game because you don't want to disappoint the audience or receive a fuckload of flack about it.
yeah.
Of course, these things are. This is like a very big factor. So yeah, I totally understand that.
That being said, puzzle games can make good streams, especially when people are playing along. Um, can't think. I'm sure there are some more examples. These are the kind of things that when I'm put on the spot, I can't think of them. But I'm sure there's some stuff that I
Yeah.
actually did stream that I certainly regret streaming. But nothing that immediately pops in my head, just because it's something that I kind of consider before I stream it. Um, did you have anything to add to that?
I was thinking, but I don't have anything. I was trying, couldn't find it. Sorry.
Okay. Let's see. Miko writes in. Hey, a casual game design art student nerd enthusiast here. I've been wanting to take the opportunity to thank you guys for the podcast. It's been making my shite job much more tolerable. Well, you're very welcome.
You're really welcome.
As for an ask, I guess, either of you like a band called Fever the Ghost? In particular, a song called Source. It gives me some great Lizard vibes. Kind of think
No,
it might be up either's tastes. Have you heard of them?
no, I haven't.
Neither have I. But I do like that you said it gives you lizard vibes because I like lizards. Lizards are cool.
Lizards are awesome.
Yeah, they're really awesome. Little scaly shits. So maybe I'll listen to them and get back to you. Really though, just wanted to take the opportunity to relay my personal greetings. Been loving the topics, interviews, and general amount of money spent on brain lump surgeries I've been getting from all the dank memes. Please remain beautiful. Well, thank you for that kind email, Miko.
Yes.
Let's
Sorry about
take
the surgery.
Yeah, sorry. Let's take like one more, and then maybe we can get the other half later.
Sure.
Okay. William writes in, "Hey guys, just wondering if you ever watch a show called Gravity Falls. It's like an animated version of X-Files, but less spoopy.
Heard of it. Haven't watched it.
Same.
Sorry.
Also, have you heard of the band Animal Collective? This music question is for only KY. You hear that, you motherfucker? You can't answer.
I won't.
Nope.
Well, I won't answer it.
Okay. The answer is yes. I've heard of Animal Collective. Patrick writes in, I thought of this. Okay, I'll actually answer that. I've heard of them, but I've not listened to them, in case that wasn't obvious. We'll do one more. Patrick writes in, "Hey guys, I thought of this hypothetical scenario where most of my better ideas come from, in the shower. You have, for whatever reason, decided to construct a suit of power armor for yourself in the same vein as Fallout, Metroid, Iron Man, and so forth. What do you do to customize the armor to make it distinctively yours? Design, coloring, weapons, gadgets, etc. Keep up the good work."
Well, the new Doom has a suit customization, and the power armor looks a lot like Iron Man, and also a lot like Halo and Metroid and kind of stuff like that, right? So what you can do is unlock different colors and different like types of like matte or like reflective colors or like really shiny chrome. Anyway, my suit, it looks a bit like the Metroid Prime 3 white suit. You know that or is it the Metroid Prime 2 one? It's just
The light
Samus
suit.
is really, yeah, the light suits. There's really white. It looks cool as fuck.
Yeah,
It looks like that.
that's like my favorite Metroid suit is the light
Me
suit
too.
from Prime 2.
And it has this bright reflective chrome like green,
Oh
but
yeah.
it looks great. It looks really cool. And my special power with the suit would be, of course, armor, the power to walk through walls because why the fuck not, and also the power to shoot sticky, icky green vine web from my fingers like a
Could I hear that again? Good. Thank you.
thwap.
Thwap. If that was your onomatopoeia, if you were in a comic, it would say thwap.
I'd say thwap. If I was Brian Johnson from AC/DC, I'd go. Ah!
My suit, I don't know. I just had an epiphany. This would be it. And don't ask where it came from. My suit would be a spike suit, and the way it works is it's just this like just a smooth metal suit, but then at will I can make it protrude really sharp spikes about 3-4 inches off the suit. Now, I don't know. Now it's very. This makes it versatile in a lot of ways because you can climb stuff because you can just shove the spikes into walls and kind of like scale up the wall real quick. You can also use it like if you're about to smack a bitch, you just protrude the spike and it just impales their head. The smike. Just a spike suit, you know. I could just make spikes come out of it.
Great.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool as shit. All right, and actually, I gotta take a quick BRB, so let me read you one more question and you can answer it. Sound good?
Okay.
All right.
Sure.
This is from our Babby fan Charlie. He writes, "Hey boys, it's your tiny 16-year-old fanboy. In episode 16, you mentioned not all great games could be good in someone else's opinion, and I totally 100% agree with you. Vinny, I know you're a Metal Gear Solid buff. Are you sure he's not talking about me? I know you're a Metal Gear Solid buff, but I just could not get into those games. I wanted to play them, but the control scheme put me off. It was during the tanker section of MGS2 and HD Remake I said fuck it and gave the game back to a friend I borrowed from." Is there a question here? Maybe I'll come back to it later. Who knows? Your fan Charlie. Did you get a question from that?
I think there's some I can expound upon it. I have some thoughts about.
Well, tell you what. Why don't you talk? I'll be right back.
Okay. You know, I really do agree with that. That sometimes a game's controls can put you off. Like, I feel like there are some great games that I've tried to get into that I couldn't, and there are some games like Monster Hunter that will definitely punish people the first like 20, 30, 40, 50 hours of gameplay, and that'll just put them off. Yet the people that love that series, myself included, will swear by it. That said, I was unable to fully immerse myself into Dark Souls for a similar reason, where I was impatient with the punishment, and I couldn't get past that first 15 hours. I do feel like I'm missing out, and one day I might give the game a shot again. That said, I totally get your grievances about the Metal Gear Solid controls. Metal Gear Solid 2 and 1, you know, it's a very specific style of control. And remember, it's, you know, I hate to say it like this, Charlie, but Metal Gear Solid 1 is pretty much as old as you are. So when it came out, I was 13 or so. What was it, 98? Yeah, I was about 13, 14 when I got Metal Gear Solid, and it felt really cool because there were no games like it before.
Yeah.
Or at least it took those controls, and for the time, it kind of revolutionized it, you know, that kind of gameplay. So when I first played Metal Gear Solid 1, I thought the controls were amazing. I was like, holy shit, this game controls so good. And it was so fun to play. I replayed it over and over and over again. Then Metal Gear Solid 2 took that a little bit further. Mm-hmm. And then you started noticing the clunkiness a little bit further on down the series because gaming was evolving and Metal Gear was not really evolving as much as some other games. Mm-hmm. But it was still its own style, which made it good. Like when I replayed Metal Gear Solid 3, or when I played it for the first time last year, I had some issues with the controls, but I thought overall, once I got used to them, they were perfectly adequate for the gameplay. But it is a very different style of game. That said, you might want to investigate Metal Gear Solid 5, which definitely caught the series up in a lot of ways to where most modern games are for a third-person like action game. So I agree with you. Sometimes controls can put you off, but sometimes once you get into the thing and you give it enough of a chance, it could really work. So
Yeah.
that's Metal Gear Solid for me.
3, despite being my favorite in the series, has the worst controls. Like, hands down, pretty much. Other than maybe Peace Walker when it only had one stick. Because Peace Walker for PSP, there was no right analog stick, and that kind of sucked. But otherwise, yeah. What I recommend to you,
Yeah.
Vinny, if you never have, I forget, which Metal Gear Solid 3 do you own? Do you own the HD one?
HD.
So included in that should be Metal Gear, like the original 8-bit ones, 1 and 2.
Hmm.
Sometime, either on stream or off, play Metal Gear 2. Okay, because Metal Gear Solid 1 was definitely it took all those elements and really brought them into the mainstream, and everyone realized it was a masterpiece. But what a lot of people don't realize is that Metal Gear Solid is more or less a beat for beat remake of Metal Gear 2, both in its gameplay elements, both in the plot, like the same kind of bosses, the same structure. It's pretty much what A Force Awakens is to A New Hope.
Okay.
That's what Metal Gear Solid is to Metal Gear 2 on the MSX. And you can play it if you own the HD version of Metal Gear Solid 3. I think it's in the extras. Just you can boot up Metal Gear 2 from there, and do that sometime, because I think you'll be shocked how crazy good that game is.
Okay.
I
That's good
actually
to know.
streamed it, and it was actually one of my favorite streams, just because it's just a shockingly ahead of its time game. It's just like a little 8-bit Metal Gear Solid, pretty much. Like everything from Metal Gear Solid is more or less intact in Metal Gear 2.
I'm gonna look that up. I just
Yeah,
want to take a look at it.
yeah. I mean,
That's cool.
you'll see that the graphics are pretty simple because again, it was all 8-bit. But Metal Gear Solid 2 pretty much just used Metal Gear 2 as a blueprint and just recreated it in 3D, more or less.
Right. You mean
So
Metal Gear Solid took Metal Gear 2.
yes, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Hey, this was the MSX one, right?
Yes. There was an
Okay.
NES port that's not very good, and then there was a non Kojima one called Metal Gear 2 Snake's Revenge, which is not
All right.
that's not the one. Basically, the only reason Metal Gear 2 existed is because Konami made Metal Gear 2 Snake's Revenge, and without Kojima, and Kojima was like, "Bitch, please, no, you don't."
Right.
And so
Right.
he
Right.
made his own Metal Gear 2, which is just called Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, and that one is the one you want to play. Don't play Snake's
Okay.
Revenge.
Gotcha. All right.
So there's 5 listeners' mails left. Actually, not even. There's only 4 left. Do you just want to crank through them, or you want to save them for the
We can
end?
go through them. We can
Yeah,
go through them real quick.
sure.
We got a lot to talk about, so I don't mind going through this now.
Braden writes in, P.S. It starts with a P.S. I don't even remember his
Uh-huh.
old email. P.S. Thanks for the advice on musical inspirations. Is it possible that the NPC from the Active Worlds exploration stream is still out there? So this is a question for you, obviously.
This is at this point, this question's a bit irrelevant because we've discovered it's actually a person.
This is March 27th. It was dated. By the way, the earliest, because I had to go back for these, the earliest listeners' mail that we did was from November. So again, I'm so sorry,
Holy
guys.
shit.
But we're rocking them out. So
Let's just say the Active World person was a person. It was a she. She did an AMA, and she mentioned that she was just a viewer that watched, that had an old account, and that joined me, and that no one else could join because we swamped the servers with people. But yeah, I mean, she's just a regular person, so that's the answer to the question.
cool. Sinov writes in, Vinny and KY. If you had the power to make any game you could think of, what would you make, and what console would it be sold for? I hope you guys have a good day. Your podcast definitely makes school a bit more fun. Nothing's made me snort, laugh in class before.
Don't listen in class.
Yeah, don't listen to our podcast in class. Like, what the hell are
You got
you
work
doing?
to do.
Yeah, you got to pay attention, get good grades, and so you can get the
Douglas,
Douglas?
Yancy, funny. You are suspended for listening to a podcast in class, Douglas.
paper. Suspended.
Don't get suspended, but I'm glad you enjoy it.
Yeah. Now, if I could have the power to make any game I could think of, that's such a difficult question. It really is. That's hard. I want a World Ends With You sequel on the Wii U or the NX, because that game deserves a
Okay.
goddamn sequel. Did you ever play that game?
No, I've heard a lot of good things.
It was for the the DS. It was a Square Enix game, and it was great. It was really good, and I want a sequel for it. So that's what I would make. Kind of a cop out answer, but what do you think?
Just something very similar to Zelda 2, but taking all the concepts that didn't work and making them work and keeping it difficult. And if it's a Zelda sequel or not, I don't mind. It could be anything.
You ever
It's just,
play
I like that gameplay a lot.
you ever play ActRaiser?
Yeah,
ActRaiser kind of reminds me of Zelda 2 in some ways, like the switching between the overworld map and then switching to a side-scrolling action game. I don't know.
sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a similar game. I mean, the actual like physics of when you attack are very different in ActRaiser, but overall, ActRaiser is still an amazing game. I love it very much, but it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zachary writes in, as an artist, I'm kind of curious. How does it feel to have art drawn for you all the time? I draw a bit on Tumblr and all that. Maybe once every 3 months, I'll get a drawing without having to ask them or anything, and that just makes my heart want to melt. I know that you worked hard in order to get where you'd get that much art, but it still must feel pretty fucking crazy. Or have you just gotten used to it by now? That's a pretty
Well,
good question.
you tend to get you tend to get used to stuff as if it's just a constant, and trying not to lose the sense of how great those things are is important. I mean that you gotta always put into perspective how cool it is. Sometimes I step back and I'm like, holy shit, people really are amazing and they draw a lot of great stuff, and I have to thank the artist because I'm blown away. But I have to get into that mindset because 5 nights a week I see art and it's just a normal part of my routine now. So it's flattering. I love it, but like anything else, it can start to become part of your daily activity. That said, I'm totally 100% appreciative, and it's flattering as fuck.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I don't get nearly as much art as Vinny, so I'm not as used to it as he is. But I'm still just super flattered anytime something does pop up. I don't know. I imagine that's the kind of thing that would actually weird some people out. Like everyone has their different reactions to things like
Hmm.
that. But to me, it's just nothing but positivity. I'm just always just totally like floored when someone makes pretty much any kind of piece of art for me. So that makes me really happy.
Absolutely.
Last one. This one is from Jaden. He writes in, I was wondering what both of your favorite bands or artists are. I really enjoy the podcast and can't wait for more in the future.
Okay. So all right, let's do a game, KY.
Okay.
You and I have to we have a desert island
Yep.
disc, or let's just say we're going to be on a desert island. We can only listen to one artist,
Mm-hmm.
right? Let's just say for all intents and purposes, that artist that we're forced to listen to for the rest of eternity is one artist, and it's our favorite. Okay. So on the count of three, when you have it and when I have it, we're both going to say it at the same time.
Okay. All right. All right. It's hard. It's really hard.
I know.
Uh,
Only one.
only one. All right.
Okay.
You ready?
Three. Not like after I say one. So like 3, 2, 1.
Yep.
That right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. 3, 2, 1. David Bowie.
Yes.
Wait, the band? Yes.
Yes. Uh,
Really?
I think so. It's hard though. It's because it's so close between like 10 different things.
I know.
But Yes is very versatile, and it would have to be only their first 3 albums out of their like 10 or so albums.
Wow. And that's so that's crazy because that means then that 3 albums of theirs are so good
Yeah.
that they have made them ascend. Like the reason I picked Bowie is because he's got 25 albums. And I mean, I can't choose a favorite artist. I'm sorry. It changes all the time. But Bowie is the guy I'd bring his entire discography with me.
Yep. Um, that and no answer feels right for this one to me because no matter what, there's always like there's that and then there's like this person and that band and I can't. It's hard and Yes still doesn't feel like the right answer. But I can't think of one that does feel like the right answer. David Bowie's way up there for me for sure.
How about the Beatles or like
Yeah, I
Radio?
almost said the Beatles. I almost said Radiohead, but I'd put Yes above Radiohead for if it had me. That's the thing. I think I like Radiohead more than I like Yes, but if it had to be music that I had to listen to forever, I would in
Yeah.
that context I would choose Yes. So that's kind of a skewed context when you think about it, you know. Um,
Sure. And again, I changed the question a bit.
okay, how about this? We were talking
Yeah.
about this at work, so and this will be a good question for you. If you had to choose one song, now you can listen to any variation or cover of that song in addition to its original recording. Basically, you're limited to one song. You can listen to any version of that song, but you have to choose one song for forever. What song is it?
I have three answers, and I can't choose which one.
Mm-hmm.
It's either Station to Station by David Bowie, which is a long ass song.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of variety. Or Echoes by Pink Floyd, because again, it's a 22-minute song. So there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
to listen to. Or Motorway to Roswell by the Pixies.
So that's three.
I can't choose, but if you put a gun to my head, I'd just say Echoes. Echoes.
You just choose one. I mean, any answer is good.
Echoes.
My answer to that question, at least when my coworkers asked me, was A Day in the Life. If I had to choose one
Oh,
song,
good choice.
it'd
Good choice.
probably be A Day in the Life. Just because that I think has so much potential for variation and enough variation within itself. Between the Lennon verse and the McCartney verse, which, by the way, the Lennon verse is a lot better, personally.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it is. It is.
But it's
McCartney
still,
one is just like whimsical as fuck.
yeah, but that's just such a great song. That's one of my top three Beatles songs, I think. Um, yeah,
Good choice. Good
thank you.
choice.
All right, and actually, we're caught up on listeners' mail. Can you believe that? If people want to submit more listeners' mail in the future for the next time we do listeners' mail segment, where would they do it, Vinny?
bigfatdonkeydicks@gmail.org.
And let me register that. Big fat
It's
donkey
it's
dicks.
no. It's two on the Vinecast at Gmail. It's
Excellent.
number two. Number two.
Excellent. Good. You want to hear gross noise?
Yeah, maybe not.
I don't even know if you'll be able to hear this. Hang on. You ready?
Hmm.
You hear
Oh,
it?
what is that?
It's mac and cheese. What video games have you been playing lately?
Well, I've been playing a lot of different games lately. The Culling still. I've been playing Enter the Gungeon a
Mhm.
lot. Doom just came out, which has been a better experience than I thought it would be.
Yeah?
Also, the new Star Fox, which is bad at first. Now it's pretty okay.
Pretty okay.
Eh,
All right.
it's pretty good. And I just finished Twilight Princess HD. So, yeah, I mean, there's been quite a few things happening.
I think the only one that we have in common there, which is strange, usually where you have a couple things that we're both playing at the same time. The only one that we have in common is Gungeon. I've been playing some Enter the Gungeon as well. What do you think?
I think it's great.
Yeah?
It's amazing. It's so addictive and a lot of fun, and it's inventive and creative. There's a lot of different types of weapons. They're wacky,
Uh-huh.
they're ridiculous, but overall, there's a lot of replayability because there's so many unlocks.
Yeah.
And it's challenging. It's really hard, but it's not so hard that you feel like it's bullshit. Most of the deaths are your own fault.
Most of them, yep.
So,
I think it's really good. It's one of those games where I have a million nitpicks, but the overall package works so well that I still go back to it. Like whenever I'm playing it, I'm like, oh man, I wish this was different. I wish that was different. I wish the pacing with the unlocks was a little faster. Oh, this art's inconsistent. Like shit like that. Like just little stupid ass nitpicks that go through my head. But at the same time, I do keep coming back to it. My favorite parts are partially the humor, because it's very easy for that kind of tongue-in-cheek thematic humor to just go totally overboard. Like that's how I felt with Dungeons of Dreadmore, which was a humor-based roguelike. But it works really well in Gungeon. I like it. I like all of it. I like it.
yeah, agreed.
And I like the secrets, like the sense of persistent world and persistent lore behind everything. I just enjoy it a lot. I like all that stuff. I actually started. That's a game that I enjoy more on stream because the pacing of the unlocks is so slow for me off stream that I don't enjoy it as much. Whereas I streamed it the other day and I told the chat, I was like, look, I'm probably not going to bother unlocking things on my own, or not unlock everything on my own, rather. I said, guys, just spoil it for me. Just lay it down. Tell me how to get this. Tell me how to unlock new characters. Tell me. And they told me the secrets, and all of a sudden I enjoyed it a lot more than I had been. So I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah. It has. I totally agree with you on a lot of that stuff. So, but yeah, it's fun to play on stream, and I just for the first time completed the killing of your past
Oh, yeah. So you're further
appropriately.
than I am.
Probably a little bit. Yeah, I've completed it a few times. I did the bullet that could kill your past, and I've done a few other things. I've unlocked some stuff that's apparently a little difficult, and
Have,
I've done the secrets.
have
So
you unlocked any characters?
no, 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 no. That's hard. There's one character that I really want to unlock, but I can't find him in the levels.
See, that might be one of my biggest problems with it, because, and this is partially my own fault, but there's, out of the four starting characters, I only like playing as one of them,
Which one?
the Marine.
Okay. Yeah, I like the Marine too, but I think they're all. I beat the game with a pilot, so I mean,
Yeah. The pilot's my second favorite because I like that you can unlock chests even if you don't have any keys, and I think keys are a very scarce resource. Like, I find myself spending half my money on keys from shops because the game just doesn't drop enough of them, which is
correct.
probably intended, and that's fine. But it definitely, that is what makes a pilot more attractive to me. But he has the big drawback of
One starting gun that's crap.
it's, yeah, the spread on it is just the worst. It's like the inaccuracy of it makes killing even
It's
like
pretty
basic
rough.
mobs way more annoying than it should be, you know. Whereas that's one of the reasons I like the Marine so much, because he has really good accuracy. So generally speaking, when you attack an enemy, you'll always hit it, which is good. Like,
Mhm.
as long as you're aiming right at it, which is, I feel, how it should be. And then I like his reload speed. So to me, he just has the flat out biggest advantage compared to the other characters. I don't see a huge advantage of the other two besides the pilot and the Marine. I mean, I like that the convict has a couple of starting weapons. I like that she starts with a shotgun, which is cool. Um,
Mhm.
but otherwise, I only like playing as a Marine, and knowing that I'm probably like not gonna unlock any new characters anytime soon just ticks me off. Because it's like, couldn't they have just, thrown me a bone, like just one, maybe two characters that could still be locked but relatively easy to unlock, like FTL did.
Sure. Yeah, no, they're not easy to unlock at all. I've got like 40 hours in that game. I still don't have a single unlock like for characters. So
Yeah.
it's tough because when you start the game, you want to be able to excel to some extent because the weapons that you unlock, you might like one, but you might never see it.
Uh huh.
So having a character that you like would be kind of great, but alas,
Yep.
it's hard. It's
Yeah.
not an easy thing to
Whereas
do.
Whereas like FTL, you still had to unlock a couple of ships at the beginning, but they made them within reach. Like, they said, okay, you get to sector 5 once, and you'll have this ship forever. And it was cool unlocking a new ship like almost right off the bat. It started getting you
Right.
playing different ways, started thinking different ways. Then they like had a couple of mid-range ships and then a couple of hard to unlock ships. And I feel like any game with unique characters like Gungeon should have that kind of system. Like Isaac kind of has that system. Spelunky, even though they're just avatars, they don't have any inherent differences. You'd still be unlocking them in different areas. I don't know. I just wish that there were other characters that I could unlock and play relatively soon, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to be stuck with the Marine forever.
Yeah, for a long time.
Or
I, again,
just,
I,
or
I
just grid
don't
it and use the other characters, I guess. But
I don't mind the other characters so much, but I definitely understand where you're coming from, and I tend to use the same two or three characters. Well, the same two characters, Marine and the pilot.
yeah,
And now that I've finished the game with the pilot, it's going to be mostly Marine, and then after the Marine, I'm going to do the other characters and then finish the game with them. That
nice.
said, I still enjoy it, and I think it's one of the more fun games I've played in a while, and it dares me to continue.
Yeah,
That's what I like about it. So
yeah. Tell me about Star Fox, because I've not played it yet.
controls are frustrating for the first few hours. There's a My first stream of it was a mess. At one point, I paused the game and just held my head in my hands, like sobbing. Maybe I wasn't crying, but let's just say it was so difficult to understand what they were trying to go for at first, because you're playing it and it looks like Star Fox 64 so much, and then you wiggle the controller and your reticule moves, so you just are like no, and then you use the stick to move and you're like okay, I can shoot with the stick. Then it goes into all range mode at the end of the first level, and the camera is stuck on the side of your R-wing, and you're not able to play the game the way you want to unless you look at the bottom screen, and you have to aim with the bottom screen. So you're forced to learn this control method pretty early on, and it can be really jarring for a new player. It's a good game. It feels classic, which holds it back in some ways, but generally I think the action, the pace of the game is pretty good. It's probably my now that I got the controls, it's maybe my second favorite Star Fox game, tied with the original.
Wow.
So it's good. It's got some great moments. The voice acting is stupid and fun, but the controls are tough to get used to. I still would prefer non-motion controls, but once you get them, there's some moments where they work really well. The new vehicles, except the gyro wing, I don't really like the gyro wing all that much, but the Landmaster is still great, and so is the Chicken Walker thing. So yeah, I think it's, if you're a Star Fox fan, there's a lot to like, but it's not going to blow you away. It's just a good, solid game with some bizarre control choices that either you love or you hate, or you grow to love.
Do you think Star Fox is dead?
No, not really. I don't think Nintendo knows what the fuck to do with the game, but I don't think it's dead. I think there's potential. I just don't know what they could do.
Well, at least they didn't port it to the NX as a launch title.
So you want to go in that direction now?
If you want, if you think you're ready for it.
Sure, I'm ready for it. How do you feel about what Nintendo is currently doing, where they're not talking about the NX at E3?
I feel, and this is very much tied to Zelda, obviously. It's not just the NX, but, or at least, wait, did you want to talk about NX or Zelda? Is that which one were you getting at?
Let's talk about both, but we'll start with NX.
Okay.
Okay. We now are on the cusp of an E3.
Yeah.
Where we know we're not going to learn about the NX. We were told that NX will not be at this E3.
Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? Nintendo.
What the fuck?
What the fuck? Nintendo. What were you thinking?
Absolutely.
Why? Like, I can't form a sentence when I think about it, because I'm just like, why? Like, what? Huh? Like, I get my Kristen Shaw voice, like, what? Huh?
Right.
What?
Gee, what are you talking about? Stop delay the NX for your sister, G.
Why wouldn't they talk about it at E3? It almost feels like
they don't have games ready.
It's one of those things where it feels like that was a mistranslation. They said something, it got miscommunicated or mistranslated. The internet went nuts and said, "Oh, Nintendo's not going to talk about E3." But the next logical step of them coming forward to correct it never happened, and they actually aren't going to talk about it at E3. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. It's.
Even the worst part of this, because I'm okay with that personally. We're going to get the E3 no matter what, so who gives a shit if we learn about it in advance? The biggest thing that I feel impacts something I care about is the Zelda delay. So it could be a launch title on the NX and the Wii U.
Correct. Like Twilight Princess. 10 years ago.
It reminds me of 2006 when that happened with Twilight Princess, which arguably, and this is all conjecture. We don't know if this is totally true, but I still feel that arguably the game suffered because of diverted resources towards the port. Mm-hmm. Do you agree with that?
I don't disagree with it. I think that the worst part of Twilight Princess for me was the Wii stuff.
The waggle.
Whereas the GameCube version and now the Wii U version was much, in my opinion, a better experience. So, but yeah, I don't know how many resources were diverted, but it could have been a better game, and I wonder if that's going to happen to this new one.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm okay with Zelda being delayed. It's like what Miyamoto about a delayed game is eventually good, a bad game is bad forever, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
I'm okay with Zelda being delayed. It being delayed to be an NX launch title, smart move on Nintendo, but I just want it. I want it on the Wii U. It's fine with me.
Yeah.
I just hope it ends up being good. Really, that's the most we can ask for. We throw shit fits over. I'm not learning about this console in advance, even though it's not going to change the fact that the console is what it is, and we're going to get it someday.
Yeah.
Um, but I just want a good game. I hope it's a good game. I think it's going to be good, based on that they're trying something new that's not motion controls, and that's the thing. I'm one of the few people that was okay with the motion controls in Skyward Sword. I was all
They
right
did
with
a
it.
pretty good job with them in Skyward Sword. Skyward
Yeah,
Sword at least had some level of
yeah.
real thought and energy put into it.
Yeah, as opposed to, the waggle being analogous with just pressing a button, mashing a button is the same as
Right.
waggle. Which one feels better to you? You know,
Right.
the button, of course. Like no one, because unless there was some kind of strategy behind it, like Skyward Sword, that justifies it. Sure, I'm okay with that, and I in fact kind of enjoyed it in Skyward Sword. In Twilight Princess, the waggle, akin to just mashing a button, no thanks.
Yeah.
I didn't care for that. I liked the archery controls, even in Twilight Princess. That was nice. Um,
And
but
that's what, the Twilight Princess HD version has also the best of both worlds in the sense that the archery controls are intact, but the button presses are used for the sword.
yeah. Um, Now with the more open world approach, I hope it kind of harkens back to Zelda 1 in a way, or Link to the Past even, where you have a couple different directions you can go in. You're exploring a world again because they haven't done that in a long time. Zelda's not really what was so good about the original Zeldas anymore. And I know I sound like a crusty old man when I say that, but it's true.
Doesn't mean the new ones are necessarily bad, but it also means that they're a different game. The original Zelda had this sense of exploration and discovery, and you could even approach the dungeons in orders that were totally random to some
Yeah.
extent. And that's kind of like, just burning down a bush and finding a secret in
Yeah.
Zelda 1. I felt like, for the first year of that game's life, I always felt like I was discovering new secrets. And it was fun to just play the game and just look for things.
Yeah.
So I hope they do that. And I also hope maybe they learn some lessons from Link Between Worlds, which was kind of a step
Mhm.
in the right direction.
Oh yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
I think this could be a great game. But however, this is the only game we're going to be seeing at E3 that's playable from Nintendo, according to their announcement.
And considering how it's going to be a launch title for the NX, that also scares me because it means they're going to do what they've been doing and play extremely safe because they don't want it to fail, which means it's going to have over tutorialization because they don't want the player to ever feel bad due to failure. So they're just going to hold your hand. I don't know. I'm worried, but I don't know. I just want to see how it goes, I guess. To me, like you said, the what Zelda is now does not make it a bad game. But if I had to choose between what makes the current Zeldas good and what makes the old Zeldas good, I would choose the old Zeldas like any day of the week because I like the exploration, and there's
Yeah.
just no exploration anymore. Like not really a drop.
Nope. No, it's just kind of like find a few things here and there. And like in Skyward Sword, it was like, well, go to this island and you'll find some cool stuff. Maybe
Yeah,
you'll bump into a secret or fight the thing with the toes 3 times. It was just a lot of things need work on this series because it's a huge series for Nintendo, and there is the element of, well, do we play it too safe or do we try something a little different and then we
hmm
go in a different direction like they did with Star Fox, which for a lot of gamers didn't work, and critically the game got kind of panned, but it also got some great reviews too. But more so than that, a lot of people have just shat on the game
hmm
saying that they've tried it and it sucked.
hmm
So Nintendo is kind of at this weird middle ground where they have to find a way to please the audience, but also evolve and continue to move forward. And that's why I'm worried about the NX as a system more
yeah.
so than I am about Zelda. because I have no idea what they're going to try to do. Because they could play it safe and just make an awesome gaming console, but then then there's the Wii, which was a huge success for Nintendo that changed the game in a lot of ways for the worse, in my opinion. But that kind of thing actually worked for Nintendo and was their biggest selling console since the NES. Will they stay in the same spot, or are they going to try to innovate? And if they innovate, is it going to be something so ungodly stupid? It's just hard to know. I mean, there are already talks about like going back to cartridges for the data. Then there were rumors about the system being as powerful as an Xbox One. So, I don't know. Rumors are rumors. I won't regard them in any way, shape, or form as accurate. But I'm kind of worried. I don't know what's going to happen. It's a scary time for Nintendo. And not getting anything from Nintendo this year except a few 3DS games. Granted, I'm interested. I'm talking about Nintendo developed and published games, by the way, like Kirby. Like Kirby, I'm into it, but there's not a lot to keep my attention as a Nintendo fan, and I'm wondering if Nintendo fans are going to jump ship before the NX even comes out. So,
yeah,
that's my rant.
How are you enjoying Doom?
So, Doom, I thought was going to be kind of bullshit. Because I saw the cutscenes with the chainsaws, and it's like, here's a cutscene where the chainsaw kills your enemy, and I was like, I don't want these canned animations,
especially when you see them 20 times in a 5-minute span.
Exactly
the same exact animation over and over and over.
And that's the thing I worried about. And in this game, make no mistake, this does not feel very much like Doom 1. It's got some elements. It's a fast-paced shooter. It's got cool weapons. The weapons make sense. They're fun. But there's like I said, with the NX and Nintendo, playing it safe as opposed to going in a new direction. This game feels like a mix of the past and also some modern gaming conventions. Like there's upgrades. You can grab onto ledges. There is a map editor which is pretty cool. The multiplayer is kind of bland. The canned animations, to be fair, have some function. If you do a canned animation, say you weaken an enemy, you kick him in the balls, he explodes. Okay, great.
Yep.
You'll get more health for that. So you want to do those animations if you're low on health. If you use the chainsaw, you basically get a fuckload of ammo. So you can blow through all your ammo, then use the chainsaw on the biggest, baddest enemy you can find. It'll play its stupid canned animation, but then when you're done, you get more ammo. So it works in its own way, but it's not Doom. It's a very different thing. However, I like it a lot. The campaign is good. It's fun. It's fast paced. The levels aren't linear, and there's a lot of fun stuff to find. Lots of secrets, and the guns feel great, and the enemies look cool. So yeah, it's a good game. I think it's great, but it's just a different type of game.
Yeah,
slightly. Yeah.
Yeah. Does it bug you that, like, say, me as a person, let's say, for example, that I feel in advance that those animations would just grate on me after a while, just seeing them over and over and over, since it's such a fast-paced game and you're using them all the time. Now, choosing not to use them isn't optimal because, like you said, there are those advantages you get for using them. Does it bother you that you can't make that choice? You pretty much you don't have to do it, but it would be gimping you if you don't. Like, does that bother you?
Yes, but if you play well and you don't take a lot of damage, you don't have to use the animations. It's a choice. If you are down to 30 health and you knee an enemy in the cock, you will get an extra 30 health. You get an extra 30 health. But if you just snipe enemies, and you'll still get some health, but you'll get more for the animations. So yeah, it's not optimal, but if you play well, you won't need to do it as much. Now,
what kind of metaphor is that to you? When you knee enemies in the cock, you get more health. What is that from a gameplay design standpoint? How does that mirror a real life sensation? When you kick someone in the balls, you feel invigorated because you just kick them in the balls. Is that what they're getting at with the design there?
Yes, they're trying to say that good health and fortune will become of you if you knee demons in the balls or your best friend Toby.
Yep. Cool. Anything else that you've been playing lately that you want to talk about?
Um, the culling keeps getting good patches. And have you played it?
No, not yet. I've watched a lot of streams of it though.
It's good.
It looks
Highly
good.
recommended.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. The patches are usually pretty good. The developers are trying to make the game as balanced as possible. They make a few mistakes here and there, but then they try harder to get it right. The game is manic and insane and a lot of fun, and I would definitely put that in my top 5 of the year so far.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Now, how about you? What else you been playing?
I've been playing a bunch of VR shit because Carrie and I got a Vive.
That's right. So you upgraded your computer for this, yes?
Yes, because
Tell me about it.
well, the computer upgrade I was originally just going to upgrade three pieces. I was going to upgrade the Mobo, the graphics card, and the CPU, which are, arguably the most expensive pieces anyway. But then I looked at it and I was like, well, I'm going to need new RAM. My old RAM's not compatible with this motherboard. I got to get Windows 10. I'm actually going to buy Windows,
I
I was
did. I
like,
did too.
and I was like, well, I've been meaning to get a solid state drive. This is a good opportunity to do it. Before you knew it, I pretty much built the whole computer ground up. The only old pieces that I kept that I did not get anything new, it was the power supply, because I had a pretty overkill power supply for my old build. And the case. I didn't get a new case. Otherwise, I got new hard drive, Mobo, graphics card, CPU, RAM. Yeah, so it cost all in all about 1,000, and that's not including because I didn't get new monitors or a new case or anything like that. So it was just like the essentials. So it's a pretty good PC. I almost regret
Sure.
getting the GPU just when they announced that
I
the
know.
yeah,
The
but
crazy NVIDIA one, yeah.
and especially because the 1070, which is like the slightly less than the 1080 one, the 1070 was the same price as my current graphics card, what I paid for it. So that almost bums me out, but at the same time, it would have been agonizing having an HTC Vive sitting around doing nothing for the next 2 months while I wait for that to become available. So,
Agreed. Yeah.
and it's still, I have nothing to complain about. It's still one hell of a rig, all things considered. I mean, it was built for VR, which needs a hell of a rig.
Yeah.
So let alone anything that's not VR, it can just do whatever it needs to do. So all things considered, I'm very happy. I upgraded my computer. It cost about $1,000, but it was worth it. Well worth it, mate.
That's what it, mate. Good job. Good job. Yeah, I've got a somewhat of a new rig myself. No, I don't. I'm waiting for the new graphics cards myself. But anyway, tell me about the VR experiences you've had so far. Are you a believer?
Yes.
How much of a believer are you?
I am pretty much unequivocally passionate and excited about VR since we've gotten a Vive.
Wow.
It's great. It's pretty much everything that you always dreamed of VR being when you were a kid or in the future. Even when the Oculus was first on Kickstarter, it was like, this is going to be great. But it's all that and then more than I expected. It works. At least the Vive works. It's just unbelievable how well it works. It really is
Sure.
just all one-to-one movement. You just walk around that space. My space is, I don't want to say small. It's definitely still more than some other people have. Some people only have standing room or even just desk room, in which case you get an Oculus where they just set their desk screen in their face. But that's only
Right.
like one small dimension of reality is what you see and being able to look around. It doesn't take into account movement, doesn't take into account kinetics, like being able to pick things up and everything that the Vive can actually do, which is awesome. I can actually walk around a space. I can, if I want to go and pick up a carrot from the ground or something. I don't know why a carrot, but
Why a carrot?
I don't know. If there's a carrot planted in the ground and I want to go pick it up, I just need to bend over, reach my hand out, grip it, and pull, and I have a carrot in my hand and I can eat it. I can put it up to my mouth, the fucking carrot disappears. It's great. No,
Oh.
it's just
Anyway, yeah.
it's good. I've been playing.
I know. I used it briefly, but I'll tell you about that after you're done.
I've been playing a number of different games. The most notable ones are Audio Shield, which is a rhythm game
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
made by
That's
the
the rhythm game.
yeah, it's made by the same folks who made Audio uh fuck, what's it called? It's like the most popular music game on Steam. Audio Surf?
Audio Surf.
Yeah. I was like, that doesn't sound right. It's
It took
Audio
me a
Surf.
minute. I was like, wait a minute. What is he going? Now I got it. Yeah,
Yeah,
Audio
yeah,
Surf,
Audio Surf.
which is a great game, by the way.
They made a VR game called Audio Shield that is very good. I wasn't sold on it at first for a couple of, again, nitpicky reasons. I'm very much a nitpicky person. But it's grown on me, and it's the game I find myself coming back to the most because it's very replayable. Job Simulator, which is bundled with it.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Carrie worked on that, and that is going to be the best game you can possibly stream right now for VR, almost hands down. Based on the tools they've incorporated into it specifically for streaming, and just on like what you can do with it. There's just so interactive and so fun. Like for example, on stream the other day. Now, for those that don't know, in Job Sim, you can spawn a camera, and that camera is what shows up on the stream, so they can see you, like your VR head and your hands, like it's all full of expression and shit, and you can pick up the camera and move it around wherever you want. One of the levels has a tea bag, so for the first time in VR, I could actually do what they've been doing in first-person shooters like Halo and Counter-Strike and stuff like that. Counter-Strike. And I could take a literal tea bag, hold it to my crotch, and I literally have to physically crouch down with the camera beneath me to physically teabag a person in
Holy
VR.
shit.
It's more than just pressing the crouch button now. Now you actually have to do it. And the funny part is that the teabag, that the camera is a physics object, so the teabag actually hits the camera. So as I'm teabagging them by crouching in meat space, the
What is
camera,
the meat space thing? I've heard about that. Is it just the real life? That's what you call it? It's the
yes,
nickname?
yes, meat space
Okay.
is the real world. And net space is the VR world. But as I'm teabagging them in meat space, the camera is actually getting bumped by the bag in the game and moved and jostled. And it was hysterical, and chat was freaking out.
Really? Was that good?
Yeah, they loved it.
That's awesome.
They loved every moment. And
Sounds so fucking cool.
and you can
Sounds so
spawn
stupid too.
you can spawn a Twitch chat in the game as well, so you can read chat from within the game, which I'll tell you is like the best thing ever for a streamer, because every other game you can't do that. You just need to bring up the Steam overlay and look at your desktop that way.
Oh, I can't wait to be called a massive loser
Yep.
while I'm in 3D virtual reality. It'll be like nothing's different.
So it was great. I put their camera inside a refrigerator and closed it, and I made them tell me once and for all whether or not the light goes out. I took the Twitch chat, because you can spawn that, like I said, and I put it inside a sandwich and ate the sandwich, so I ate the chat. It's just,
Nice.
from a streaming standpoint, is the most fun thing. I played The Lab, which is Valve's kind of set of tech demos, and they're all really fun and good. And Justin Roiland actually had a cameo in The Lab, which was cool. He played some
Nice.
voices in a Angry Birds but in giant 3D style thing where you're basically launching, those personality cores from Portal.
Yeah.
He plays the voices of those personality cores as you get ready to launch them towards giant towers of crates and stuff.
Cool.
And it's pretty funny. And the other two games are Space Pirate Trainer, which is just an arcade, kind of like Space Invaders, but in VR, and it works really well. And
Is
Budget
that's not
Cuts.
the one with the drones, right? You don't shoot the drones down.
You do shoot the drone down. The ones that
And,
are
and you have a shield gun, a gun with a
Yes.
shield.
yes,
I played that game. Yeah, that's a cool one.
yeah, or rather, you can either have two guns or you put your hand behind your back to change it to a
Behind
shield.
your back and get a shield. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Space Pirate Trainer, and that's really good.
I like that one a lot. I'll
It's-
tell you about that. In a
It's
minute.
fun. And then finally, Budget Cuts is the most notable, which to me feels the most like a traditional game as we know it. It's a stealth game. So you're sneaking around a facility using this kind of teleport function. It's almost like Metal Gear, because you shoot a little teleport ball, and before you commit to teleporting there, a little portal appears on your gun, so you can look through the portal to look around you, and then you squeeze to commit, and the portal expands, and then you're in that new location.
That's cool.
So you shoot it around corners, you use the portal to look around, see if it's safe, and then you commit to actually teleport there. Meanwhile, you have throwing knives, a tranquilizer gun. You need to like pick up keys to unlock doors, so you like go through drawers and stuff trying to find keys, while robots patrol the facility and try to hunt you down. And it's a fucking terrifying experience, and it's great. It is so great.
I heard, yeah, that one I heard about. It was a really good way to overcome the movement problems in 3D
It
and
kind
in
of
the virtual world.
I think it was the first to really incorporate that teleporting as well as it did, and since then, since budget cuts, like every game with any kind of mass locomotion has been using that. So
Really, the
pretty much.
teleportation thing.
Oh
Wow,
yeah,
that's cool.
apparently they hired one of the budget cuts developers to work at Valve, and they incorporated the teleporting into the lab, and it's everywhere now. So it's kind of like the mainstay
Wow.
solution for locomotion in the Vive without getting sick. So
Yeah. When I played Half-Life with the Oculus, yeah, I got pretty sick.
yep.
So I mean, there is movement in 3D space. I don't know if that feels any better now. But for a little while, it was something that I was just like totally I was like, nope, this sucks. So is that something you would say has been improved? Like, have you played any games where you're moving with like a joystick?
Yes, and they kind of I've got a pretty decent stomach for those kind of things, so it wasn't awful, but I could still feel it. I could still feel myself getting a little dizzy and kind of disoriented. Whereas, as you probably experienced when you use the Vive, that's just like a total non-issue. Like, did you?
It's a non-issue because I wasn't moving really. I mean, or I was moving myself, but I didn't play a game like Half-Life, for example.
Right.
You know, because Half-Life 2 is the one that got me really sick.
Yeah, and Budget Cuts is kind of the most Half-Life like game because it's kind of a first-person shooter in a way. It's a first-person stealth game, and the way they work the teleportation works really well, and you can still explore a facility. And they have clever ways of working around it. Like if the ceiling's really low, like you teleport into a vent, then you have to get close to the ground, or else it won't teleport you up there. Just like tricks that they use that works really well. But point is,
Right, right.
anytime you are moving, it's because in the Vive you're actually physically moving your head or moving your body. There's no point where the camera moves differently than how you are actually moving in real life.
Right.
And because of that, very few people get sick in the Vive. Like very, very few.
Well, that sounds good. I'm just wondering how they're gonna do more like experiences, kind of like Half-Life.
Yeah.
Like when you don't have a lot of room in your house to move around. Like I don't know. In any case, my experience with the Vive was great. It was at Newegg's like private showing for it. It was weird, but yeah, I just played that game with the shooting thing. And one thing I noticed about it that was cool was you could actually fucking like you could left okay you can close your left eye and just use your right eye to aim down the barrel in the sight
Yep.
of the gun, and it's perfectly accurate.
Yep.
It was mind blowing.
I've actually commented on that before during my VR streams. I've said how it's interesting how in first-person shooters in the past there's a dedicated button for iron sights, and that's 100% eliminated from VR. But you can still use that technique because they actually put iron sights on every gun and use it just like you would in real life. You just like close one eye, you line up the iron sights with an enemy, and you shoot, and it works like fucking perfectly.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And that is just goddamn incredible. I loved how in Space Pirate Trainer, how you can actually dodge the bullets. Like you can move left and right to physically
Yep.
dodge them, and it feels
Yeah,
like
that was cool.
it has a really good feeling to it. It actually feels like you're kind of in like an action sequence. It's nice.
Agreed. Yeah, yeah. It was one of the more impressive things I played. Like VR has never felt as good as the Vive. Even from that one showing, I was totally blown away.
Oh,
So yeah, yeah.
and Tilt Brush, of course.
Oh, the painting game, right?
Yeah, the one that Google made, the painting in 3D space, which I took requests from the chat and I painted an obese Yoda with like a hairy chest in the shape of a heart.
Good.
So that was good. I made a very terrible Moogermang.
A Moogermang?
A Moogermang.
That's
I
good.
made one of those. I made a little landscape that turned out really well. And it's cool. Tilt Brush is so much fun. I like it a lot.
Yeah, yeah. That sounds like a good one. I've seen gameplay footage of it, and it blew me away. I'm trying to get a Vive at some point, maybe, but I want to get my graphics cards first, and then
Yeah.
I'll consider it because mine it can't support it. You need a really hefty graphics card for VR. If
Yep.
you want VR to make to work and actually fool you and not just be crap, you know.
Other than VR, unless you had any other questions about it, about VR.
Do you have any ideas about like what might be the future of VR? Like where do you think VR is heading now that you've had a good chance to fuck around with it? Is there going to be some kind of movement? Do you think the treadmills are going to be the future? Do you think there's going to be any kind of peripherals that could possibly improve the experience?
There is, and I don't think this is necessarily what is going to catch on the mainstay, but one thing that I think is very innovative that is happening, there's this kind of VR arcade park thing. I think it's called the Void or something, where they actually physically make a huge environment, like they actually like sculpt the environment that you would be in, and then they put a
Mm-hmm.
Vive on your head, or a heavily modified Vive, and they put you in that environment where everything is modeled to match up perfectly with those 3D sculptures, so that when you actually walk around, you can actually physically touch them with your hands, and
Cool.
and it's this huge space, like 200 meters by 200 meters, and it's just this park where there's like three or four different quote unquote amusements or like missions or whatever. One's like an
Mm-hmm.
alien sci-fi shooter type thing where they give you a gun, they put you in this building, and you get immersed in it. There's one that's like an adventure, like I don't know, like a jungle adventure or something. But these kind of like VR parks are really fucking cool, and I want to do one. Just because that's kind of the one unsolved thing with VR is room scale is way better than sitting at your desk, but
Sure. Yeah.
until they come up with a really really inexpensive and good version of the treadmill thing, the Omni or anything like that,
Right. Right. Right.
it's going to
Yeah.
be a tough thing, but I think someday they're going to come up with some kind of solution like that where you can just walk freely, and it's not going to be cheap for a while. We're still a good 5-10 years from a consumer priced VR system, other than like Sony's VR, which is going to be shite. Sorry
How much
to
how
say
much
it.
is that?
I think it's going to be like, I don't know. I'm guessing like 400 or so. And you
Yeah, I
need
mean, but you get what you pay for in that sense.
right, and you need to own a PS4, so that in itself is 400, maybe less now, 300 or so. But the thing is, if that attractive price gets people to play it, and then they're turned off by it because it's just not good, and then they never get to see what really good VR is like the Vive, because that's currently priced towards enthusiasts, that would be fucking terrible because VR is great. I want it to catch on.
Right. Right.
But I look forward to 10 or so years from now when we have things that are Vive quality or better at an affordable price range for the average person. So,
Okay.
but that's how I feel, is
That's
just
good.
making it accessible, I guess.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad to know these things because I was wondering like where this might end up going, and I really do like the tech. I think that the VR is one of the most interesting things that's happened to gaming, even beyond like the motion controls of the Wii. I know the Wii kind of like set us off on this like really get into the game kind of thing, and I don't think anything's really worked. At first the Wii was cool, and then I kind of gave up on it. The Wii U gamepad with the tilt controls and all that stuff. Okay, fine. But when the Oculus DK2 was cool for a little while, but when I got a chance to play the Vive for about 15, 20 minutes, I was like, okay, all right, I see now. It only took one time, and
It
I
does.
understood, but I also understood the potential. Even if
Yeah.
that wasn't the best end all be all demo, which it was a good one, but I understood totally the potential of why people would want to go in this direction. So, man, 5-10 years from now, it's going to be pretty insane.
Yep.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, if you ever get chance, I would recommend Budget Cuts pretty much above everything. Um, it's just it's just so good. Budget Cuts is just incredible, and I can't wait for it
Cool.
to properly come out.
I,
Other than
I,
VR,
yeah.
I've been playing a handful of games, and I'll let you ask about the ones that you're you want to hear about. So
Okay,
I
go
made
for it.
a short list here. I streamed Overland and Soma. Off stream, I've been playing Offworld Trading Company, Steven Sausage Roll,
Mhm.
Dungeon Mans, and Dark Souls 3.
Right.
Which would you like to? Oh, wait, no, one more. Pocket Card Jockey.
I want to hear how you like Dark Souls 3 because we mentioned you were. I mean, you said you were interested and excited for the new one, right? So
Yeah. It's really good. I think it's a lot better than Dark Souls 2. The bosses, I think, might be the best in the series. So if you're the type who got hyped by the any bosses or like that's your big thing, I think 3 is probably going to be your favorite. Um, it's arguably the most linear world of the bunch, but unlike 2, in which that bothered me, I don't mind it as much in 3. I'm
okay,
not sure why. I think because the environments are so good, they're so interesting. Whereas in 2, they made no fucking sense. How you'd walk into an open mountain, take a magic elevator, way up into the sky, and then all of a sudden you're in a fucking volcano, and you look around and there's just like magma land as far as the eye can see. It's like, how the fuck did I go from that place to the other? Um, Dark Souls 2, the environment made no goddamn sense. And 3, from any location, you can look around and kind of spot the other locations in the distance. Like, even though it's a very linear game, you get a good sense of reference and connectedness to it that 2 didn't have, even
right.
though it's more linear. So I like that. Unlike others, I actually do like all the throwbacks to 1. I appreciate it. It's sad that they kind of fucked off, 2 as being non-canon, because 2 still had some good things going for it. Uh, but overall, it's just really good. I would recommend it to. I would almost recommend it as a good
It's a
first Dark
standalone,
Souls.
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
I've heard about that. I've heard that.
yeah. I like it a lot. I think it's great. I think it looks beautiful. I think the gameplay is very refined and works really well. I think I like Bloodborne a little more. I think Bloodborne might be my favorite in the series. It was kind of a good middle ground on everything that they do well.
Okay.
Like the world was not completely linear, but it wasn't completely non-linear like Dark Souls 1. Um, the bosses were all good. It had a unique theme. It was trying something different. I don't know. I like Bloodborne a lot, but Dark Souls 3 is very good and certainly better than Dark Souls 2. So that's a step up.
Cool. Okay. And what else have you been playing that you want to talk about?
Um, oh, here's one that you can check out because you have a 3DS, and I know how
Right.
much you like to stroke Nintendo's peen. Um,
Uh-huh.
Pocket Card
Yeah.
Jockey for the 3DS. Do you remember them showing this in Nintendo Direct a little bit ago?
Not really, no.
Okay,
Pocket Card Jockey,
Pocket
no.
Card Jockey. It's a horse racing game, uh, mixed with solitaire.
Oh
And
yeah, 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 yeah. And is
dude,
it good? You like it?
it is excellent. Like it's
What the
really good.
fuck?
I'm not
What
even
the
kidding.
fuck?
You wouldn't think it would be, but you have to trust me. There's a demo. Okay, first off, you don't even have to spend money. There's a very beefy demo. The demo alone lasted me a good 3 hours. Um, you just have to play it. You just have to trust me and play it. It's such a deep and fun and good, really well designed cycle. Like it's a good cycle switching between the solitaire to the actual horse, the race planning. Because basically the way it works is each race goes from 2 different distinct modes. The
Mhm.
solitaire mode, which how you perform during that determines your horse's mood and how fast they go, and then that switches to a strategy mode where you actually drag the horse's path, like you drag the line to kind of choose the spot that you want them to be, because some horses like being behind other horses, which will help them in the long run. Some like being ahead. So they have certain ideal spots that are good in the racetrack, so you want to have them in the most ideal spots, but doing that makes the games of solitaire harder, and if you fuck up the solitaire, your horse starts to get pissed. So
Oh shit. Okay.
so you kind of want to keep your horse in a good mood without like pushing them too hard, and depending on how well you do determines their overall a stat called enthusiasm, and enthusiasm determines how they do well in the home stretch, the very final sprint. It determines how many stamina uses you have, like you know the carrots from Ocarina of Time. Like
Well,
those
when you hit Epona, you're talking
Yeah,
about like the
yeah,
okay.
yeah. It kind of determines how many of those you get in the home stretch. Determines your overall speed in the home stretch and the very final like sprint to the end. And then you see how you do. If you win, you get some money, and you can use that money to buy items to help you in future races that you might want to only spend on high profile races like the championships and such. So you
Mhm.
kind of conserve your money. But if you fail too much, then the person who owns the horse might kick you off and say, "Hey, you can't ride my horse anymore." It just for being a casual game is such a good, well designed mixture of systems, and it is just so fun. It's so fun. I
All
can't
right,
believe
fine.
it.
You sold me on it. I'm gonna have to check it out. I'm
Yeah,
gonna have
man.
to check it out. I have some extra credit on my 3DS, so you may have just given me my next time waster
It's
while
like
I'm
it's like $5.
waiting for food or whatever. Yeah, it's that's
But
what I expected.
there's a demo too, so I would just get the demo and do 3 4 races, and before you know it, I think you'll see what I mean. It's a very unassuming game that just ended up very good, like really good. Um, so
Surprising. So at
yeah,
least we got us Nintendo fans have pocket jockeys to keep us busy.
yeah, yeah.
And we may not have Zelda or anything else this year, but we've got that.
You got Pocket Card Jockey. Yep.
Oh,
Um,
pocket card jockey. Sorry.
and I'll talk about I think one more. I'll give you the choice. Um, no, I'm gonna choose. It's called Offworld Trading Company. Have you
Okay,
heard of
what's that?
this? So it's an RTS of sorts, but without any military. The main thing that it focuses on is resource gathering. So you
Okay.
set an HQ and you gather resources. You can build only so many buildings, so you need to choose which buildings are collecting what resources. Meanwhile, there is a real stock market that is determining that the cost of what you are buying determines the prices on the stock market. So, like for example, say I overproduce the fuck out of iron because I want to build lots of buildings, but I need to buy water. For example, for the people who live in my headquarters, the stock of water is going to go up because I'm purchasing it. Now the stock of iron is going to go down because I overproduced it and I was selling it too much. So you kind of play the stocks based on what you see your enemies are building, like your opponents, and what you are building. You kind of need to build your resources smartly to both expand your headquarters, but to also sell the most valuable stocks.
Okay.
Or sell the most valuable things, and you kind of adjust to the stock market. Now, the goal is as you're rapidly expanding and like playing the stock market and gathering resources, you have 4 or so other opponents doing the same thing. You can fuck them up either by manipulating the stock market, either buying a lot of something that they're trying to make a profit on to make the stock plummet and therefore make their profits plummet, or you can hire pirates, like people who sit on like if they build their I don't know, their glass factories far away from their headquarters. They need ships that fly back and forth. You
Hmm.
can place pirates on their trade route, and your pirates will steal their glass and give it to you instead. So it's very cutthroat. Like you can
Let's say
buy
off-world trading.
Off-World Trading Company. So you can buy EMP things to kind of just like blast your opponent in the face, neck, and chest, and they get disabled. Like their buildings get disabled for 45 seconds or something. And then while they're down, you can sell the fuck out of whatever it was valuable that they were hoarding, and thus plummet the stock. And then by the time they recover, they can't make a profit on it anymore. And then the ultimate goal is to buy everyone else out. So once you have enough money and you can effectively buy stock in your opponent's companies, when you buy enough of it, you do a hostile takeover of their company. You get all their resources and you essentially assimilate them. The game ends when one person comes out on top, having assimilated all the other companies on Mars, basically.
So
It's
it looking at it and hearing about it, it's not for someone who wants a casual gameplay experience.
it's
You're going to want to invest some time into learning the systems.
Well, yes, that's true, but it's also very fast paced. Like one round probably takes 30 minutes at most.
Okay,
It, it,
that's
it
good.
it's like the pace of StarCraft, but without the dexterity, more just the decision making, like the overall strategy, the observation, seeing what your opponents are trying to make and trying to make money off of, and figuring out how you can fuck them over as hard as you can. Figuring out what you need to invest in that is like, say, an underproduced resource, something that you can make that everyone else needs to buy. That's the thing. That's the thing. You need all the resources, but you can only make so many buildings. So you're gonna have to buy something as your primary means of getting it. And as a result, the stock market kind of adjusts. It's cutthroat as fuck because you basically, the whole winning strategy is to fuck everyone else over as much as you can, even if it means using really dirty tactics, using, pirates, EMPs, other quote unquote non-violent things, because there's no military at all. There's no micromanaging units like you find in StarCraft. There's no APM to worry about. It's all just decision making and fucking everyone else in the butt until you acquire them.
Yeah, yeah, it looks cool. I'm looking at it now and hearing about the dexterity is what kills me about StarCraft. Like I can make the decisions for the most part and I have fun playing it, but I suck with speedy like grabbing units and trying to like,
Right.
because I mean you see the way the professionals play it, and this is what you hear. You just hear this.
Yeah.
Right? And they're pressing their like presses per minute are off the charts. So for me, I can't do that. I know I can't do that. And I could learn it over years maybe, but a game like this where I look at it and I'm like, okay, I like the idea of this. And if I don't have to be the speed demon that I would have to be in StarCraft and perfect like build order constantly, then sure, this could be something I would enjoy.
Yeah, and that's what the developer is actively trying to avoid. He even wrote this huge blog post saying, here's what we are trying to avoid, which is APM, dexterity type things, just pure strategy and larger picture decision making. And he went through the iterations of how he used to have like a scout unit to scout out for new resources and found out there was too much micromanaging. So he replaced it with a radar scanning system where you just click on a couple different areas and it will scout them out automatically.
Sure.
And since you can only
That sounds
have
cool.
like fucking 5 buildings per level of your HQ, you're not building a million buildings. So while build order is important, or not order, but like the buildings you choose is important, there are so few of them you have to build that at no point does physically being faster than other players make a difference. It's more what you actually choose to do. Like that's exactly what they were going for, was eliminating dexterity in favor of tactics, of fucking each other in the butt, until one of you has a happy ending. So
Sounds good. Well, that's actually interesting. I might actually want to check that one out.
it's
You
weird.
definitely introduced me to some cool games today.
Yeah, it looks very dull on a surface level and it looks very slow on a surface level. But when you actually play it, you'll see what I mean. It's very cutthroat. It's very fast paced, just without having needing 10 fingers on one hand. So
Right. Okay. So that's cool.
um,
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty. I mean, you've definitely showed me some cool shit today, so I'm pretty interested.
yeah, good. I'm glad. So that's pretty much all I've been playing lately. I can think about that's worth noting. Um, yep.
I'm trying to think if I have anything else for you. I played a game called Chicken, CHKN, and that was interesting. It's a game where
CHK.
it's like a Minecraft type game where you build creatures that make no sense, and I like building creatures that make no sense. So that was fun. And there's a lot of other stuff, like, I played Super Hot since the last time we spoke,
Oh yeah, I
but
like
that
Super
was a
Hot.
great game. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, it's a very good game. Is there anything coming out soon that you want to bring attention to that you're looking forward to?
Well, there's some updates for games that I'm interested in. So Subnautica is getting or just got a big update, and I'm
Oh
probably
yeah,
going to stream that again soon. That's a great game still.
yeah. I
And
haven't.
Darkest Dungeon's getting one.
Yeah, I have not played Subnautica since before I upgraded my computer, and back then I had to play it on like minimum. So I should probably go back to that and crank it up and just marvel at how fucking good looking that game is.
Yeah, and that's a game that would look great in VR too, I would imagine, or at least be really trippy.
Yeah,
So, yeah, Subnautica's great.
yeah. I feel like there was some game I wanted to talk about. I can't remember what it is, but I guess that's it. Pocket Card Jockey, Dark Souls 3 and Offworld Trading Company. Those are the main three that are worth talking about. So
Yeah. Yeah, and as I check my Steam library, I see 1,000 Warhammer games. Rome Total War, Alexander, Medieval 2 Total War, Warhammer, Dawn of War, 40,000 Dawn of War, Company of Hero. I'm like, where did I get all these games? I'm pretty sure it was a Humble Bundle that came with Valkyria Chronicles, which I also have now, but that's for another time,
oh
perhaps.
yeah, yeah, you should definitely play that. You'll like that a lot. I
So,
can tell you now. I think you'll enjoy Valkyria Chronicles a whole bunch.
yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I think I'd be interested, but until then, I'm busy. I don't know what the hell I'm doing lately, but Kunjin,
Gungeon.
enter the Kunjin.
Enter the Cumgeon.
Yes. So that's been that, and I'm still kind of enjoying Doom for what it is.
Yeah. I was thinking about having a stream month marathon of threequels, like playing Mother 3 and Metal Gear Solid 3 and Silent Hill 3, just doing a whole bunch of threes. I don't know why. But
You should do it on in September because that's 3 times 3
yeah, I was gonna
equals
say I
9.
should have done it in March and I dropped the fucking ball on it. I could do it in September, but that's so far off.
Yeah.
So,
Or you could just say fuck it and do it whenever you want because you're a grown ass man. You're an
yeah,
adult, Charlie
yeah.
Brown.
Can't tell me how to. Can't.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay, I guess that pretty much wraps up this week's episode. Sorry, no funny segments this time. No green light guess. Maybe you want to do green light guess next time?
We could do green light guess next time. We could also do a new section that I'd like to call "Guess How Many Pubes Are on the Rodent."
Yeah. Okay. We'll think about that one. Okay.
It's a good one.
Okay.
He always turns down my segments, guys.
we could and maybe if there aren't a lot of them, we could do maybe a couple more listeners mails too, because I feel like most podcasts do listeners mail every time if it's a segment, but the thing is, whenever I bring it up, I inevitably get like 20 goddamn emails and it turns into a huge thing. So we'll do green light guest next time, and then maybe we'll check out listeners mails, but if not, we'll do it the following time. Let's try to get another episode out in 2 weeks.
I'll do my best.
Okay, that sounds
right.
good. So,
Okay.
2 on the Vine cast at gmail.com. That's the number 2
right.
on the Vine cast at gmail.com to submit for listeners mail. Greenlight guests, we'll bring that back next time. Hashtag Greenlight guests. Just submit your fake, shitty games that you might find on Steam Greenlight. Use a paste bin so it's longer than a tweet, maybe, if you're so inclined. So it's easier to or harder to guess. But I guess that's it. Do you have anything you want to add?
Well, there's also new Pokemon, and new Pokemon have been revealed. So that means we could bring back a segment where you guess what a Pokemon looks like.
Yeah.
So we've got some. I mean, the new ones are there's the owl, and then there's the cat, and then there's the clown seal. There's a lot of there's going to be some interesting Pokemon in the next generation. It's like I said, a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, and then you just have like weird shit. But they're just sticking with owls and cats now, so I mean, I guess that works too. But yeah, so yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that's all there is to say. Until next time, about 2 weeks. This has been KY.
And this has been Yabupe.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.